Good evening. Thanks for tuning into PhillyCAM Voices, your local and community news. I'm your host, Amanda Johnson. Philadelphia's Hahnemann University Hospital is set to close for good in September. The shutdown has already begun, but the fight to keep it open continues. Reporter Danielle Fineza was there with President candidate Bernie Sanders with the protesters.
Today, we are demanding that Hahnemann remains open.
Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders joined hundreds of protesters gathered outside of Hahnemann Hospital in the fight against the hospital's upcoming closure. Sanders rejected for-profit health care, urging protesters and his fellow Democratic candidates to question corporate involvement in American health care.
And we are demanding that health care in this country is a right and that people are entitled to go to first-rate hospitals in the communities that they live.
Private equity tycoon Joel Friedman will sell the hospital to the highest bidder. The hospital declared bankruptcy in June, with Friedman stating his investment in the institution no longer makes a profit. The hospital announced its closure will occur on September 6th. Mayoral candidate Queen Abbas rejects Friedman's plan to sell Hahnemann.
A 100-year hospital over 100 years should not be closing. They're building condominiums. You don't close a hospital, you build more hospitals.
Doctors at Hahnemann now worry about their jobs and the fate of the community the hospital serves. Dr. Renee Rubin detailed the current state of working at Hahnemann as an increasing number of local patients lose access to proper medical care.
We do cancer care for half the price of what it costs at Penn and Jeff, so that the patients don't have so much out of pocket, and we know how to help them because the other hospitals are not interested in the poor people. I have a patient in the hospital now who's at risk of dying because I can't find another hospital to take him.
Nurse Shanna Hobson has been working at Hahnemann for 6 years. She noted the wide-scale impact of the hospital's care within the community.
We see a lot of people that have nowhere else to go, so we are definitely a safety net hospital.
Hobson has continued to work at Hahnemann despite the impending closure.
You know, we've seen a significant decrease in our overall census of the hospital, but people are sad but still hopeful, and when we show up to work, we take care of the patients that are there.
Protesters, including the activist group Socialist Revolution, shared the same optimism as Hahnemann doctors and nurses, hoping the rally's publicity will help save the hospital.
The outcome of this should be for the hospital to be taken into public ownership in some way, whether that's the city or the state or the country.
Bernie Sanders spoke about his legislation plan involving a $20 billion emergency trust fund designed to help state and local governments buy hospitals in financial distress. Protesters are now turning to city officials to buy back Hahnemann Hospital, preventing the closure of a place that represents the only affordable medical care for many in Philadelphia. Reporting for PhillyCAM Voices, I'm Danielle Fineza.
Thousands of people from around the country came to Philadelphia last month to attend Netroots Nation 2019, its annual political convention. Reporter Dennis Link explains what happened.
In July 2019, Philadelphia hosted the 14th annual meeting of Netroots Nation. This 3-day conference engaged thousands of progressive activists at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. The name Netroots blends the notions of internet and grassroots. It began in 2006 as Yearly Kos, a national meeting of readers of the website Daily Kos. Today, it is the largest annual progressive gathering in the country, highlighting digital activism and political organizing. According to Netroots, the 2019 conference attracted a record 4,000-plus attendees. This reflects a charged constituency, emboldened by the 2018 midterm elections and gearing up for 2020. The agenda offered over 200 events, such as trainings, panels, presentations, film screenings, and keynote speakers that covered a wide range of political and social justice issues. Local organizations and activists were heavily involved in the conference. Our own PhillyCAM was a sponsor and a presence on Media Row covering the event. Former City Council candidate Beth Finn was proud of Philly's participation and how the city is poised to affect change.
We have an opportunity to be leaders in things like the environment, in things like serving our underserved people, and things like that, because we have such a Democratic majority here in the city.
One topic at Netroots was the concept of a municipal bank. This happened to be a central theme for Finn in the May primary.
One of the things that I was campaigning on was to open a public bank here in Philadelphia. And what that means is that our city money, our tax dollars and our revenue from fees, all of that is stored in Wall Street banks today. And we pay them hundreds of millions of dollars in fees a year to keep our money there. And they're investing it in things that don't benefit the people of Philadelphia. Gas and oil pipelines, for-profit prisons, definitely not here in Philadelphia. If we were to open a public bank, bring our money home, we wouldn't pay those fees, and then we could invest in projects that made sense for us here. More affordable housing, a Green New Deal for Philadelphia, fixing our roads and our schools, whatever it was we decided was important, we could invest that money here. So I'm still pushing for us to open a public bank. Just because I wasn't elected doesn't mean that my desire for that money to come back to the city has changed. And so I have already been meeting with some of our city council members to talk to them about how we can move that forward. And so far, the reception I've received has been pretty positive.
Another area of concern was how to combat fraud and foreign meddling in U.S. elections. Dan Wolf from the nonprofit tech startup Democracy Counts was a finalist in Netroots' showcase competition for new tools in activism. He talked about his mobile app as a solution.
It's obvious that our systems are obsolete, they're vulnerable, they're subject to manipulation. We can't be sure that in a close election, many of the elections are that they're actually installing the candidate who earned the victory. You know, the losing candidate can be installed. And so we need to have accurate elections so that people can be sure that the candidate who becomes the president or the senator or the governor is actually the person who won the election. Some of our systems are so old and obsolete and subject to manipulation that that we're pretty darn sure that the losers are being installed in office. And this is a problem. So we've developed this system. It involves two apps, a small app and a big app. The small app is very straightforward. Anybody can use it. If you know how to use the camera on your cell phone, you know how to do this. Basically, it involves going to the polling place. If you're a poll watcher, it's great, you're already there. If you're not, you're a voter, you go back to the polling place after the polls close and they put the results up on the wall. You take a picture of the results. That picture is encrypted and uploaded onto our system, and it's later compared with the official results as they come out on the Secretary of State's website.
Regarding an economic theme, PhillyCAM's Rafael Calazzo interviewed Kadita Kenner of the Pennsylvania Budget and Policy Center about working to raise the minimum wage.
So the We the People campaign is one of the other campaigns of the Pennsylvania Budget and Policy Center, and we've predominantly been just working on minimum wage, trying to raise the minimum wage. We're stuck at the federal level here in Pennsylvania. Every surrounding state around us has raised the wage once, twice, 3, 4 times. We've been at $7.25 for 10 years. We haven't moved it legislatively in 13 years. It's time to give Pennsylvanians a raise.
Delia Garcia, who serves as Secretary of Labor for the state of Kansas, believes that progressivism is rising everywhere, even in her traditionally conservative state.
We have progressive voices and thoughts everywhere, and in Kansas we're growing them. We have been around, one of the things that when I was a state legislator, I was elected in 2004. In 2005, we were upholding our new law and still law today in state tuition. We were the third state in the country to do that, and so I think it's important to know that we do have progressive minds and thoughts, and we're just growing more across the country.
Netroots featured topics for everyone, such as climate change, criminal justice reform, racial equality, women's rights, LGBTQ issues, immigration, economic justice, gun control, organizing for elections, and much, much more. For many attendees, their only regret was too many overlapping sessions of interest and having to make tough choices.
The only thing I wish there were more of was more time to do all of the panels. There's like 120 panels or something like that, and So you can't go to them all because it's only 3 days, and a lot of them run concurrently. So I wish there was more time to hear from all of the incredible speakers that they've gathered here. I'm really proud of how the Philadelphia local crew has really come together to put together a really impressive conference.
At Netroots, PhillyCAM pressed its own pet issue. That is, fighting proposed changes in FCC regulations that would severely limit funding for community media outlets. PhillyCAM's Vanessa Maria Graber interviewed Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, who is advocating to protect community media.
America would be far better off facilitating a much stronger voice for the people, great diversity in the voices that can be on the public airways, all the public airways, not just cable television. And so it is important to celebrate a victory, but realize the other side is not going home and stopping, and neither can we.
Finally, in its official release, Netroots Nation claims to have the most diverse group of participants ever. 76% of selected speakers were people of color, 64% were women, and 28% were LGBTQ. Having attended a past Netroots convention many years ago, Rafael Collazo took special note of this.
I remember when this was almost all guys and not very diverse. I went to one like 10 years ago in the Shy. There was actually a Latino meeting there with the 18 Latinos that were there about how we're going to help diversify these things. So we've come a long way, baby. So
for PhillyCAM Voices, this is Dennis Link.
There is a new statue, and it is making history in Philadelphia, and it's called the MVP, or Most Valuable Player, and it's a tribute to children in South Philadelphia. Reporter Monica Robinson has more.
3, 2, 1, unveil! Woo! Philadelphia has made history by unveiling the city's first freestanding statue depicting an individual African-American girl. The ceremony took place at Smith Playground in South Philadelphia. The bronze sculpture entitled MVP depicts a 12-year-old girl who's a basketball player.
As an African-American female, I am so proud of MVP as it depicts a young person of color female figure. These are characteristics not traditionally reflected in sculptures and statues around Philadelphia.
MVP is a significant part of the 60th anniversary of Philadelphia's Percent for Art programs. Brian McCutcheon created the work of art.
The pose that I chose, which is a basketball player at the top of the key, maybe has just received the ball and is about to make a decision on the next moves that will happen, that will define that moment in life, is sort of the point of the sculpture.
McCutcheon said he made the statue for the children in the community.
I wanted it to be a monument both to the kids who use the community park, but also pay homage to people who came before, as monuments do.
The statue is dedicated to Philadelphia resident and athlete Ora Washington.
Ora Washington is an athlete from the early 1900s. She was both a basketball and tennis athlete. She was maybe one of the greatest athletes of her time. Well, I mostly hope that they see themselves like in a monument. You know, like this is an athletic monument, like the athletic monuments down at the stadiums. You know, the Mike Schmidt, the Julius Erving. But it's a little bit of a play on that, so that people, hopefully, that use the park can kind of see themselves as those, you know, future heroes.
Art is a reflection of who we are in a specific point in time. And MVP is a monumental celebration of Philadelphia's youth.
MVP will stand proudly at Smith Playground in South Philadelphia, and that has special meaning for McCutcheon because he lived in the area for 10 years.
Actually, my first rental was at 5th and Snyder. My music teacher lived over at 17th and Wolf, which is very close to the park here. And then my wife and I ended up owning a home in 17th and Bainbridge.
The MVP unveiling kicked off a series of celebratory programs in Philadelphia presented by the Office of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy. MVP! Reporting for PhillyCAM Voices, I'm Monica Robinson.
The city of Philadelphia is offering a new program for first, first-time home buyers. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, and we talked about the Philly First Home program. Hello everyone, we are here with Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, and Philadelphia has launched the Philly First Home program, which offers a $10,000 grant. So tell us about what the program is and what does it provide?
This is a program that offers a $10,000 grant for the closing costs of an individual who wants to become a first-time home buyer. The program will assist them in becoming a homeowner, and all they have to do to be eligible is to participate in a certified counseling program and have to be a first-time home buyer.
So counseling is available for anyone that wants to participate. So if they have any questions, all they have to do is pick one of 20 different agencies?
Yes, there's about 20 different agencies throughout the city of Philadelphia. Specifically in my district, the 2nd Councilmanic District, they can reach out to the Dixon House, located in South Philadelphia, and also Southwest Community Development Corporation in Southwest Philadelphia to receive assistance and, most importantly, taking advantage of this free $10,000 grant that will go toward closing costs for them becoming a first-time home buyer.
Now, does this apply to people who buy a multi-unit property?
No, this has to be their first and only property, but it could be a single-family home or a duplex, but they have to be a first-time home buyer.
Now, with this grant, there come guidelines. Now, if these guidelines are not followed, would they have to pay back the grant at all?
They won't have to pay the grant back, but we want to make sure that when it comes to addressing the issue of gentrification, individuals who want to become first-time home buyers not only take advantage of this program, but most importantly, make sure that they just stay in their home as long as possible. Most importantly, making sure that grant is put to good use.
So they don't have to worry about or be fearful of the redlining and the gentrification?
No, this actually addresses the issue of redlining as well as gentrification, primarily because in areas where people have been denied traditionally home loans as well as home repair loans, particularly in African American, people of color neighborhoods, this addresses that issue by helping them with that free $10,000 grant to help with the closing costs and becoming a first-time home buyer. We saw that was one of the areas where people struggled in. They want to become a first-time home buyer. They are living check to check after they pay their bills, don't have the money to put down as it relates to the closing costs, and so this helps in that area.
Now, as far as the funding, where did the funding come from to make this grant?
It came from members of City Council and the mayor here in the city of Philadelphia. Right now, we had seed money in the amount of $3 million. We have 91 applicants who have applied thus far, and so we're going in the right direction, and we're looking to increase the funding in the near future as well. We want to make sure as many people as possible live in every neighborhood here in the city of Philadelphia, and gentrification shouldn't have an impact on them living where they want to live, irregardless of their checkbook or their pocketbook.
In your words, how will this grant help impact families with purchasing homes?
Well, becoming a first-time home buyer helps to build generational wealth for individuals who become first-time home buyers. They are able to pass that home down from one generation to the next generation, but also as an asset, it's an asset that appreciates value over time. And so when I became a first-time home buyer and I stopped renting, I felt very proud. Now I have a home that, as long as I pay for my mortgage, no one can take away from me, and I'll pass it down to my 2 young sons and so forth. And so it definitely adds to the value and the quality of life of individuals who become first-time home buyers. And $10,000 toward the closing costs just adds to the equity of building a person's financial wealth as it relates to becoming a first-time home buyer.
Are there any other guidelines associated with the grant?
There's an income guideline. If you're single, you can only make up to $75,000, and a family of 4 can only make $108,000. But when you talk about most neighborhoods of poverty here in the city of Philadelphia, I think people fit well within those guidelines. The median home income for all Philadelphia residents is around $30,000. And so I believe a lot of people in a lot of different struggling neighborhoods can benefit from this particular program.
Now, does this program have anything to do with or the development of the city moving forward?
Yes. The program, again, goes toward helping as many people as possible become first-time home buyers so we can balance development when it comes to the issue of gentrification.
Now, you stated that you found out that people were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you hear the information?
Mm-hmm.
Was it brought to you by an organization to know that people were struggling in these areas?
Doing basic constituent services here in my office, and it's probably one of the #1 issues that we deal with is individuals who are looking for housing, renters who want to become homeowners, and they struggle with that down payment cost. And when you see rising real estate taxes in certain areas of the neighborhood that are gentrifying, people need additional funding to help them become first-time home buyers, and that's where we receive the information from.
Good answer.
Yes,
Good answer.
correct.
Dealing
Yes.
with the constituents.
Yes.
That is where he get his
Yes.
feedback, his information. So
Yes.
those that may be looking like, I don't know, what would be your words of encouragement if they know that they want to get that first home buy but might be on a fence with applying?
I would reach out to a local community development corporation in your neighborhood and see if they have information regarding the program. You can also reach out to my office at 215-686-3412 to receive additional information about the program and try it. At the end of the day, you have nothing to lose, but you have $10,000 to gain, and I encourage as many people as possible to sign up for this program.
It sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, free money, so take advantage of it.
I know that's right. Now, is there any other contact information that people would be able to reach out to get more information?
I know you can go on the phila.gov website to actually research this particular information, or you can also reach out to my office, again, at 215-686-3412, and we'll walk you through the process.
All right. So before we go, are there any other home programs you want to throw out there real quick?
We also have a home repair program where you can apply for a low interest loan in the amount of interest rate amount of 3%, and your credit score can be as low as 580 to help you repair your home. And so we also have found that many people, when it comes to the issue of gentrification and hyper development, are having a tough time maintaining their homes. And so we believe the best way that a person will not lose their home is by helping them invest in rehabbing their home, making sure that they have their roof updated, making sure that they have their kitchen updated, investing in their home so they don't have to move and they don't have to make a decision on, do I fix up my house or pay my taxes? And so there's a home loan repair program that we have also here in the city of Philadelphia that we encourage people to take advantage of as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back. Demonstrators showed up and they made their voices heard in Nicetown. They are opposed to SEPTA opening a natural gas plant in the community. Reporter Lisa Barnes talked to them about their concerns.
We can't breathe! We can't breathe!
The group Neighbors Against the Gas Plants held a rally on July 24th at Wissahickon and Roberts Avenues to voice their concerns and disapproval of a natural gas plant that SEPTA has plans to operate in the Nicetown section of the city. Demonstrators wore respirators and held signs as supporters drove by blowing their horns in support. The construction of the 10,000 kilowatt gas burning power plant, which is located at Roberts Avenue, has been completed but waiting for approval to operate from licenses and inspection. The petitioners are against the operation of the gas plant because they say the plant will emit harmful toxic gases that will affect the health of residents in an area that is already burdened with breathing conditions and pollution.
My opinion about this gas plant, that several people around my neighborhood already died of cancer. You know, and a lot of people have asthma, well as myself. Okay, so I think if this comes to the neighborhood, I'm going to get even sicker.
The air quality in this neighborhood and the asthma rates in this neighborhood are already worse than most of the rest of Philadelphia. But that doesn't mean that you should just continue to dump on us. And that doesn't mean that you should, with sketchy at best public notice and transparency, put in something that is going to be here for 20 years. They're talking about a 20-year contract.
According to a 2012 report by the Philadelphia Health Management Corporation, 31% of the children living in the 19140 zip code have been diagnosed with asthma. Philadelphia Air Management Services, who issued the permit for SEPTA to build the gas plant, says that the gas plant will not pose a substantial risk to the health or environment and will have a small environmental impact. Neighbors Against the Gas Plant leader, Lynn Robinson, disagrees.
No, I don't. It's depending on which of their documents you want to read, it's anywhere between 73 and 82 tons of toxic gas and particulates every year that's going to go into the air. So that's not benign. There's also greenhouse gases that are contributing to global warming.
Robinson also says that there are concerns about SEPTA's air studies. Neighbors Against the Gas Plant and the Center for Returning Citizens have filed an appeal in attempts to stop the plant from operating.
But I don't agree with them, and I don't trust the air studies that were done. This was part of our appeal. I also don't trust them because they applied for a minor permit and they've got a plan to expand. And, the only thing that's probably going to stand between them and expanding is us, or if the L&I Review Board rules to revoke the permit.
Protesters also voiced their concern over feelings that SEPTA has not been above board with the community, citing that the plant was built with little information given to the public about its construction.
So there's been, now I only got involved in this a few months back when I heard about it, because even though I live in this neighborhood, SEPTA has done a terrible job of informing the public and informing the neighbors what they're planning on doing here. I know that the group that we are with, Neighbors Against the Gas Plants, has been doing public testimony, appealed their permit to the L&I board, and we are out here partly because L&I is no longer accepting public comment on this issue, and we want to show them that even if they're not willing to hear from us anymore, we do still have really strong opinions about whether or not this comes into our neighborhood, and we're really trusting the L&I board to put the people of Philadelphia first and the people of Nicetown and East Falls and Germantown first, and not allow them to turn this thing on.
Residents say that when plans to build the generator were discussed, SEPTA stated that they wouldn't move forward with plans unless the community was involved. But that has not been the case, says Germantown resident Nikki Bagby.
My issue is that we had a community meeting back in 2016. SEPTA, Noresco, the PUC, and all these folks were involved, and they promised us that we would meet at the table and that they would not continue to build this until the community was involved. They lied. And we were one of the original people who asked them to come together and meet with us, and they did. They sat to the table, said they had a community liaison, and they said they would not do it. In 2016, when this occurred, this is when they had the presidential election. During that election in November is when they made that decision. They kind of snuck in during the time the election was going on to kind of deviate the fact that they were going to move on.
Nicetown is a low-income African-American neighborhood, and many feel SEPTA's choice to put the plant in the area is a form of environmental racism that would not be acceptable in other neighborhoods.
One of the things as it relates to environmental racism is the mere fact that this neighborhood that SEPTA decided to target is, we could say it's diverse, but there's a large majority of African Americans with not a great income level that reside in this area. The site that they applied for, as I call it, a sham permit. They put the 19129 zip code. That is East Falls. This is not East Falls. That side of the street is Nicetown.
I see increased disease in the neighborhood, and that is asthma, cardiovascular, mental illness, general, when a person has enough toxics in their system, it affects many things. Academically, there's brain diseases that are related. It affects children and their performance in school. It affects older people getting dementia. And that burdens families who have to take care of people who are ill. So basically, I think it's environmental racism. It's an attack on a certain community. This is a predominantly African-American, low-income neighborhood right here. And it's a way of keeping people down. And so I find that totally unacceptable. Well, we're hoping that the verdict will be in our favor and the permit will be revoked. If it is revoked, SEPTA is not allowed to turn on the plant. Now, they may appeal that decision, but we will go to bat with them again. If we lose the appeal, we're going to look into legal options, but we're also going to organize in the community better than ever before.
PhillyCAM Voices contacted SEPTA for a comment, but SEPTA has decided not to give a statement at this time. For PhillyCAM Voices, I'm Lisa Barnes.
See you next time.